Abdullah has appealed to what he calls the argument from orthodoxy. Namely, if he can quote any Christian in all of Christian history who's not a heretic, we are bound to accept those interpretations, regardless of whether it conflicts with a clear statement of the New Testament. Now, none of us up here accept this method, so I don't know why you would expect Christians to accept this methodology. But if this, Abdullah, is the methodology you insist upon, and you say, well, any Christian who's not a heretic, you have to accept his interpretation of any New Testament verse, are you consistent with this? Will you accept the position of any Orthodox Muslim in his view of Islam? Let me give you a few quotes. Ibn Kathir, Islam's greatest commentator on the Quran, as you know, says, therefore all people of the world should be called to Islam. If any one of them refuses to do so or refuses to pay the jizya, they should be fought till they are killed. Ibn Taymiyyah certainly is not a heretic, says, whoever has heard the summons of the messenger of God and has not responded to it must be fought. He's not a heretic. The Hanafi jurist Shaybani says that Muslims are to combat those who disbelieve in God. He's not a heretic. Sheikh Burhanuddin Ali, not a heretic, says the destruction of the sword is incurred by infidels, although they be not the first aggressors. So even if they haven't shown any aggression towards you, by being infidels, they incur the sword. This is not an infidel. According to Averroes, the medieval master of Islamic law, he says that scholars agree that all polytheists should be fought. The Maliki jurist Ibn Khaldun says that in the Muslim community, the holy war is a religious duty because of the universalism of the Muslim mission and the obligation to convert everybody to Islam, either by persuasion or by force. The Maliki jurist Ibn Abi Zayd says this: jihad is a precept of divine institution. It is preferable not to begin the hostilities with the enemy before having invited the latter to embrace the religion of Allah, except where the enemy attacks first. They have the alternative of converting to Islam or paying the poll tax, short of which war will be declared against them. So here you have Orthodox Muslims saying that Muslims are supposed to be fighting everyone and that they are to do it in order to spread Islam. Do you respect and agree with the words of all of these men? If you're consistent, you have to. If you reject anything any of these men have said, you have violated your own principle, which you are trying to force upon us. Go ahead.
Well, David, it's good to hear your voice again. I haven't chatted to you since July and so on. We have to also discuss the other matter concerning the websites, I think. But anyway, back to the point.
Yes, go ahead. Back to the point.
Well, firstly, I'm not bringing only one Christian scholar. And
I didn't bring you one Muslim scholar, but go ahead.
Right, fine. We're talking John Calvin here, Thomas Aquinas.
I'm not even a Calvin.
And Augustine.
Abdullah, did you hear his question? Because you're running again, which is typical of your kind. Did you hear his question?
I'm getting to it.
Okay, please get to it, because none of these sources, you probably didn't understand, David. Let me walk you through it. We do not appeal to them as infallible authorities, Abdullah. See, I can talk over you. We do not appeal to them as infallible authorities. We recognize exegetes can be mistaken. This is why we said, prove it from the contextual data that you misquoted from. And I was expecting better argumentation from you, but if this is your argumentation, please, when you come to America, you and I definitely got a debate. Now, answer his question. Since you're imposing that on us, do you accept it and admit that you need to be fighting and subjugating everyone? Answer the question, Abdullah. Please stop running.
Okay, that's a bit of a lawyer's question because you're framing it.
We use your frame.
The quotes which he uses, the quotes which he uses, I agree on, but not the kind of way you spin it.
So you spin it.
The quotes have a meaning, and that meaning...
Well, the quotes have a meaning, but Luke 14 didn't.
Not the way you
Very
spin
consistent. Go ahead.
So, wait, you would agree, you're saying you agree with the quotes and not the way I'm interpreting it. Just tell me how you would interpret this statement. Therefore, all people of the world should be called to Islam. If any one of them refuses to do so or refuses to pay the jizya, they should be fought till they are killed. If anyone refuses to become Muslim or refuses to pay the jizya after being called to Islam, you should fight them until they are killed. Give me your interpretation of this verse.
Actually, Islamically speaking, the stronger opinion is that if someone refuses to pay tax, like in every country, you can
stronger opinion.
No. I gave you Ibn Kathir. He is an Orthodox Muslim. He's an Orthodox Muslim, and so you are compelled to agree with him.
Well, no,
by the argument from Orthodoxy.
You notice appeal to stronger opinion. Oh, I see. So when we appeal to stronger opinion, Jesus and the apostles, that's not good enough. You're very consistent.
Let me ask you a question. If what you believe is false, do you want to know it?
If what you believe is false, do you want to know it? Or would you rather continue believing in something that just isn't true? If you're the sort of person who would rather believe in something that's false because it makes your life easier somehow, there's probably no point in talking to us. But for those of you who say, yes, David, if what I believe is false, I want to know it, we need to talk, my friends. Have you ever wondered whether Islam is true? Have you ever thought to yourself, hey, maybe I only believe in Islam because my parents taught me to believe in Islam. But what if my parents were wrong? If you've ever asked yourself a question like that, we can help you. We can prove that Muhammad was a false prophet and that the Quran is not the word of God. That's easy. But our message isn't just a refutation of Islam. We can also prove that Jesus is the divine Son of God who died on the cross for sins and rose from the dead. We can even answer all of those questions that your leaders tell you to ask Christians in order to supposedly refute Christianity. You know what I'm talking about. They tell you to ask your Christian friends, where did Jesus say, I am God, worship me? How many times have you heard that one? Would you like an answer? Because we'd be happy to answer all of your objections. Think we can? This Sunday, July 11th at 7:30 p.m., we're going to return to Warren Avenue, to the area where the festival takes place. We'll be bringing our Bibles and Qurans with us, and we're prepared to discuss both. So if anyone would like to challenge our views, or if anyone has questions about Christianity or Islam, we're happy to engage in public dialogue. I'll give you fair warning, however. We will have video cameras with us. It should be obvious by now that we can't go anywhere in Dearborn without cameras. Every time we come to your city, people start saying we did all kinds of things that we just don't remember doing. And the only way to prove our innocence is with video footage. Now, if we talk to you for a few minutes and we realize that we can trust you, and you don't want the cameras on, we can turn them off. But until we know your intentions, we have to protect ourselves. At this point, some of you may be thinking, David, don't you understand that this is Dearborn and that the police department is under the control of Islam? Don't you realize that we can snap our fingers and Chief Haddad will have all of you arrested, even if you've done absolutely nothing wrong? Well, it's true that if you want Chief Haddad to arrest all of us for trying to have a peaceful dialogue, he'll probably do it. He did it last time. It's also true that if you tell him to steal our camera equipment, he'll probably do that too. He's still got a couple $1,000s worth of our property locked away at STF headquarters. So yes, I'll grant that the Muslims of Dearborn have an entire police department in their pocket. But is this really the image of Islam you want the world to see? Last year, Muslim security guards slapped us around for asking a question about the Quran. This year, police arrested us while Nabil was having a peaceful dialogue with Muslims. There are terrorist attacks all over the news. People are starting to learn that Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl, that he allowed his followers to rape their female captives, that Muslims can beat their rebellious wives. Islam's getting a bad reputation. Do you also want Islam to be known as the religion whose followers can't bear to have their views challenged? Now, if you studied Islam, you know that Muslims are supposed to subjugate unbelievers and establish Sharia law through force if necessary. But you also know that before you oppress and subjugate unbelievers, you're supposed to invite them to Islam. So you invite first, and then later on, if they reject your message, you oppress and subjugate them. This is Quran 101. Surah 16:105 says, invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in ways that are best and most gracious. The Quran commands you to invite us to Islam and even to argue with us. Do you want to obey Allah's command in the Quran? If so, we'll see you this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on Warren Avenue at the festival area. You can invite us to Islam as you're commanded to do, and we'll preach the gospel to you as we're commanded to do. Of course, it won't surprise me if no Muslims show up. If you don't want to discuss these issues, that's fine. As long as we're able to walk down the street in Dearborn without being physically assaulted and without being unlawfully arrested, as long as you recognize our constitutional rights in your city, I'll consider that an amazing step forward given what I've seen over the past 2 years. But I hope to find some Muslims in Dearborn who are willing to engage in rational dialogue. Whatever happens, though, remember this. We're not just fighting for our rights, my Muslim friends. We're fighting for your rights as well. If the police department starts dictating what people get to discuss and when and where they get to discuss it, we all lose. So even though many of you cheered when you saw police enforcing Sharia law and hauling us off in handcuffs for being Christians in Dearborn, you might want to reconsider your position. If our rights go out the window, yours could be next. Don't let Dearborn become the first city in America to shred the U.S. Constitution.